All right, guys. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the Empower Abilities podcast, where we discuss all things accessibility, inclusion, and we try to educate to make the disability community better, as well as to prove to society that the stigmas surrounding disability and the stereotypes that are negative are untrue. Tonight's topic is accessibility in the world of gaming. Thank you. Hey, Bill, how's it going? How are you tonight? I do not typically watch the fights, although I have sometimes. I'm more excited about the Paralympics starts tonight, so the Winter Paralympics is on at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight, so that's what I'm excited to watch. Earl, you want to come up, buddy?
I can come up, but I'm not sure how much I can unmute because I'm watching my nephew while my mom cooks. So, and it's kind of loud here.
Okay, that's fine. You doing okay today?
I'm doing okay. Buddy.
So, as I explained to a couple people earlier this week, I typically don't use the accessibility functions myself in gaming, not at least not the first time around. I play it to see where the pitfalls might be and where I or somebody else with low dexterity or limited hand movement might need them. And then I go back through and I turn on the ones that might be helpful sometimes. So, Earl, are you able to type in the chat whether you use some of those functions or not?
Accessibility stuff?
Yeah.
No, I don't really, but I will tell you that I it's hard for me to play like shooting games. Um, my aiming's not that great because you have to be very specific with like how you aim the gun and stuff. Um, Sorry about that.
You're fine. You're fine.
Other than other than that, like I don't really have any problems playing games or anything like that. My hands get tired fast, so I can only play them for like maybe an hour at a time.
Yeah. Well, a lot of games now, of course, like some of you guys and I have talked about before, a lot of games now have accessibility options like aim assist or auto lock for aiming, or things like that for shooters. But growing up, I had to learn to play the quote unquote regular way because none of that was around. So I think it's good that gaming companies now are thinking about folks with low hand dexterity, and um, even some of the button presses you can toggle in between how long you have to hold the buttons. You can press like, some have hold this button down with one press, stuff like that. Some of the stuff I looked up today, because I had no idea some of the stuff was there. And I was just playing RoboCop, the Rogue City expansion, today, and you going back through it and using some of those accessibility functions like the auto lock for the aiming or the snap, functions with the aiming did help. So, and I've never really liked inverting the controls, but some people use that because it's easier, or like I got my accessibility or access controller by Sony set up this past week, and I've been trying out different games with that as well. So yeah, accessibility in gaming's got a whole lot better. Like I said, when I was growing up, and I'm pretty sure when Earl was growing up too, that none of that stuff was around. So we had to either learn how to play the way the game was designed or adapt in our own ways. And I'm sure Earl and many other people that are part of the disability community can attest to having to adapt the way things were originally built, because they weren't designed for people with physical disabilities in mind. So yeah, that's really the topic of tonight. I don't know how long it'll be, because I prepared a script kind of what I wanted to say, but I like going off the cuff sometimes too. So we'll see how this goes. I didn't write every single thing down, but like I said, I did write several things down. I know in the early 2000s, when I was coming up wanting to play some video games, in the early 2000s, they had the standalone plug and play games made by certain companies. Like, they had one game on them and that was it. Like, you had to plug the audio and the video input cables into the back of the TV, and that was how you played. For some of you guys playing today, y'all might not know what I'm talking about, but yeah, that was the way some of our games went. And looking back at some of the games I used to play, there was an era of gaming back in the early 2000s where everybody was making movie-based games. Like, it would be a direct input of all the scenes in the movie, except you'd be the characters and you were playing directly, the script of the movie. And those games were fun, but some of those games were challenging too. I remember games like the original Lion King game that came out after the movie. Of course, I had to play it later because I wasn't born until 97, but yeah, some of the levels in that game were hard, as well as when the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games came out later. They required fast button presses and stuff that my hands wouldn't allow for specifically. So that's why I said I would wipe out a lot, growing up playing some of those early console games, because they had timed events and quick button presses that my left hand especially wasn't prepared for. But as I progressed, I got good at what I would consider mostly one-handed playing, because I only have full use of my right hand. So over time, I have kind of trained my left hand to either run the left trigger at the back, or quick presses on L3 if you're playing on PlayStation, which is holding down the left toggle analog stick. Hold on, let me grab some water right quick. I'm sorry, guys. And especially the way gaming is now, with a lot of heavy combat driven stuff, I've kind of had to play through it once. And as my buddy Daniel says all the time, I could probably start a how many times does Owen, get a game over scenario in when he's playing through especially boss fights. I'll go through and play them very poorly, probably about 25 to 50 times until I figure out a correct pattern that I can do kind of semi one-handed. And Daniel's probably gonna laugh at that when he sees this later, but who knows? I may, post some of those fails every once in a while, just to prove to you guys, even though that I've been playing video games this long and that I've adapted. Some video games are still very rough, and as Earl can attest to, I think I've had to share play a game or two with him to get him to help me on certain levels, because I just try and I get frustrated or stubborn and don't want to change the difficulty level, so I stick with the difficulty level until I either beat it or get so frustrated with it that I have to lower the difficulty level. But typically, when I get a new game, if I'm smart, when I first start out, I'll play on the easiest difficulty level, and as my confidence grows in where the pitfalls are in the game, I'll raise the difficulty level just to kind of train my hands and fingers to move a little faster. I know it's probably gonna sound weird to some of you guys that hear this, but it's my own personal dexterity, or hand physical therapy, as I like to call it, to raise the difficulty level and see how fast my reflexes and my brain can catch up with one another and actually improve on my gameplay style. So, yeah. Quick shout out to my buddy Drew, with his brand Crippling Hot Sauce. I put some on some chicken tonight with some vegetables, and I used the medium, which he calls limping. It's in the starter pack of 3 that you get when you're first getting his sauce. He sends you out the starter pack of 3. There's just for the parking, which is the mild version. There's limping, which is the medium, and then there's crippling agony, which is like the hottest heat index that he has in the starter pack. So quick shout out to him. Thank you for the hot sauce, Drew. It was a great Christmas present, and I hope to get you on the podcast pretty soon, buddy. Thank you. Let's see. So as far as like what types of games you guys want to see me actually do videos with, I know my buddy Kiade is coming on Monday, and we'll play through several styles of my games I have here, and go from videoing with the regular controller to the access controller, and we'll turn on some of the accessibility features just to show y'all what they're like. I'm still exploring those menus because, like I said, I didn't know the majority of those options were there because I don't use them all that often, but we're gonna start and we're gonna see, and I'll learn with some of you guys what some of those features are, and then as I play through them, I'll put them out there and see which ones would be easiest for you guys to play with, and give you all my recommendations on which ones to use. So in the background tonight is my refined logo for my eventual nonprofit. I am going through the process of filling out all the North Carolina 501c3 paperwork at the moment, with a couple of my friends from the nonprofit, space. So yeah, I had to refine a little bit of the logo because some details were off and stuff. But I think I really like it now, and I think that's the one we might use for, like, if you guys would be interested in buying some merch, or you know, we'll do something like merch. Donations go to cerebral palsy research, or furthering assistive technology. We'll do something cool. So as far as getting back to gaming, I would, whether you guys see this later or you guys pop in the live here in the next little bit, I would like to know what some of you guys' favorite games are, and what you might want me to try to get to show you some of the accessibility features and how they would work with my access controller that I have here. And I'm just trying to have fun but be educational at the same time. So yeah, and I've got some cool stuff coming up for 2026. Hopefully, some new book projects as well as some new accessibility projects coming around the corner. So the Paralympics, the Winter Paralympics starts tonight. Here it's at 9 p.m. Eastern, I think it said. So here in a couple hours, I'll be watching the opening ceremonies. I would greatly encourage everybody to go watch it. Some of the events that you find interesting, I know Earl and I were talking about the curling the other night and how boring we think that is, but there's some that are really interesting. So, I think some of the skiing's really interesting. I've never really watched a full winter Paralympics before because for one reason or another, I think the last time they did one, I was hospitalized for surgery or something. So it'd be really interesting to figure out over the next several days what I like out of the Winter Paralympics. And as I'm watching, I may do some videos if you guys would be interested in that. And let me see if any more of my friends are on for me to share this out to. But yeah, you guys let me know if you guys are watching it as well and what your favorite events are, what you think they might could add if you guys are into a certain adaptive sport that might not be classified in the Paralympics yet for the Winter Games or the Summer Games. I'd be interested to know some of you guys' ideas on what you guys think should be added at a certain point. I know when I was in high school, the Rio games were going on in 2016, and I had my wheelchair elevated to a unsafe height going down my ramp one afternoon or one morning, and I flipped all the way down the my ramp at the time, and my mom said I'd invented a new Paralympic sport called wheelchair tumbling, and we had a nice laugh about that. So hopefully I don't try to, compete in wheelchair tumbling anymore. Although I'm considered the Evel Knievel of wheelchair users around here, at least in my area. Yeah, I do not recommend wheelchair tumbling. It's not a great experience. So, no, it's not great. So we'll try not to do that. We'll try our best not to participate in any wheelchair tumbling this time around. But yeah. So yeah, you guys just let me know whether it's in the comments later or on some other videos I do, some of my other lives, what games you would like to see me play through and maybe turn on some of the accessibility features. I think I mentioned in a video the other day that I did that I'm trying to find an updated version of the one that's made by Xbox, the adaptive controller made by Xbox. So I might be doing some videos from down there where my Xbox is on some of those controls and how they differ from these I have here with Sony. But like I said, gaming companies have really come a long way, and I appreciate what they've done as far as including accessibility options and making different controller options, and even some of the settings allow you to redesign button layout even with the original controllers for the consoles. I know I spoke with the representative from Nintendo not too long ago that comes from my local area here, and she told me she'd be interested in me trying out some of their upcoming accessibility options. So if and when I do that, I'll be posting videos here. And as far as any, I'm looking forward to stuff like State of Decay 3, or the Wolverine game that Insomniac's working on. I know there's a couple other ones for anybody who played like Death Stranding. Norman Reedus did the motion capture and all the voice work for that. So Hideo Kojima is the developer for those, and he's got a couple new ones coming out this year that have been teased but not fully announced with release dates yet. So I'm pretty excited about those. They're supposed to be doing a video game based off of the last Ronin comic with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's kind of a more darker style of or take on the Ninja Turtles. So whenever they released that, that's been on like 5 year 4 or 5 years running of the, t- um, this may come out kind of thing, but it hasn't really made it past the this may come out stage. And of course, there's GTA 6 that's supposed to be out later this year, but we've already waited, 12 or 13 years since the last installment in that particular franchise. So, I'm not getting my hopes up too high there. And where they've gone with the AC franchise, I don't particularly like the RPG style myself, but some people do. And some of those games, I don't know if Earl can attest to some of this, but I hate like chase type scenes in video games. While done great from a cinematic standpoint and a cutscene standpoint, I don't do well at them personally because of the long button presses you had to do with some of the movements with the chase scenes, and like I said, quick time events and certain things like that. I don't do well with either, but yeah, guys, if you are interested in my book, Different But Special, it is on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, or you can DM me on any of my social medias for a copy. I know Earl has the donation link to the inclusion project that I was a part of and still am a big part of here in the area here. He has the donation link for that in his bio in the link tree, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that, Earl. Do what? What'd you say? I'm sorry.
It's in the link tree in my bio.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of links in there, but if you just look, you'll find it. It's possible to miss.
I appreciate you doing that, Earl. It really helps me. It really helps me out a lot, as well as the families and people that come out to the park. Really appreciate all the donations. So if you guys and instead of like gifting here or sending me money for my books or what have you, please consider donating to them. It's a great cause. You can also, if you choose to do either or, you can donate to the Cerebral Palsy Foundation, for cerebral palsy research, which is the disability that Earl and I have, while we have different variants of that same disability. Kids growing up who are diagnosed with similar forms of cerebral palsy can benefit from the research that you guys would potentially be donating to. So I know I, as well as Earl, really appreciates when people do stuff like that, because it gives people the opportunity to have, research and new therapies that we didn't have growing up. So I really appreciate anybody that has it in their heart to do stuff like that. I would never want to, say, force people to do that, but people out of the kindness of their heart, and people that feel led by God to do um, certain things like that. It is greatly appreciated. I know that I could not do the things that I do here as well as every day without Jesus Christ. His will and his purpose for everyone's life. You might not know it today, but he'll reveal it to you in time, based off of the experiences you go through in life. You just got to remember that he's always, that the Lord is always there with you, and he never gives up on you, never leaves you. So, that's a statement that's got me through a lot. My faith has got me through a lot of doubt, anxiety, and fear in this life with having a physical disability. And I couldn't thank him enough for the people God's placed in my life. My family, my friends who I've met in person and who I've not met in person. That's you, Earl. Thank you for all you do. And, I'm thankful that God brought us together through social media and that we're able to help each other out on a day-to-day basis. I probably worry the crap out of you sometimes, but I appreciate all you do for me.
Yep.
So.
Man.
And, I appreciate people like you and Naomi who take the time to message me back throughout the day and maybe just give me a little encouragement where y'all can, share a laugh. Everybody knows comical, probably a little too much sometimes, my family says, but it's how I make it through. My sense of humor is definitely how I make it through, and be on the lookout for going into my sense of humor a little bit. Be on the lookout for dates and specific times where I'll be doing keynote speeches and guest appearances on more podcasts. Hopefully, if I can get some of these writings and books finished this year and maybe published end of this year, first of next year. I know with self-publishing 16 years ago this year in November is when my book was published finally, so that would have been November of 2010 when it was published then by a self-publishing company. It took what seemed like forever and a day, as they say. But with some of the publishing options out there now, like the one that Amazon does, or if somebody picks it up a little quicker than that, we may get it out quicker as well. And I appreciate all you guys that have bought through my social medias that I've sent out in the past. It really does mean a lot to me that the book I wrote as a 12, 13-year-old kid has some sort of impact on, someone today. So it really warms my heart and really lets me know that God's purpose and his will for my life is developing, and he's God's touching people through me. So that really makes me feel good. And to give y'all a little humor moment here. My nephew, um, my nephew looked at me the other day and goes, Uncle Owie, you wrote a book. You're famous, but when am I gonna get my own wheelchair like yours? So now I've got to go take him to my vendor and let him ride around in a couple wheelchairs to see what he likes the best and help me pick out the next model that I'm gonna get. So you know, uh, kids say the funniest things sometimes. Um, he also said when I came home from the gym the other afternoon, he goes, Uncle Owie, how many push-ups did you do? And I just, kind of smiled and chuckled a little bit because unless I lose a significant amount, much more weight, I would not be able to get to the floor because somebody would still have to pick me up and put me on the floor, and I'd hate to mess up anybody's knees or back from trying to pick up. Currently, I'm around the 182 mark as far as weight goes, so I would hate anybody to get injured trying to move me around. So, also here coming up, I plan to go do a little bit of indoor swimming, physical therapy. So at my local gym where I work out at twice a week, they have an indoor aquatic park which has chair lifts on it, so I can easily get in the pool. They also have a graduated ramp that goes down into the pool, so you can either walk down the ramp or they have a specialized manual type of wheelchair that can float on the water for certain shallower distances to help those people get in the water that way. So swimming's really great PT for me. So y'all may see some of those videos. But to tie back into tonight's main topic, some video games with the Wii. Back in the day, like certain Wii Sports games were, people, the physical therapist would actually use that as part of my sessions because certain dexterity movements as well as certain movements with my left hand with certain pieces of the Wii remotes would provide a good workout and good range of motion with my left hand and arm. So thanks Nintendo for creating moments like that where we can, use the console, maybe not how it was intended, but adapt it to the way we need it to work for us as disabled individuals. So I appreciate, the multi-use for games like that. And if you guys want me to make more videos about some of the handheld systems, I have a Switch 2, so I can show you guys what a handheld button layout would look like, as far as where I place certain fingers on my left hand to operate some buttons. I'm still working out some of the trigger presses as my left hand cramps up sometimes while I'm playing, so it might not be perfect, but we're figuring it out. And yeah, we'll be posting more videos later on in the week. I'd like to thank Earl for being on with me tonight and putting up with me, some today and every day that he puts up with me. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off here, guys, and if you're seeing this on YouTube later, watch the previous episodes and be on the lookout for more videos and content throughout my social medias. Follow me. It's pretty much Empower Abilities everywhere. That'll be YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok, as well as LinkedIn. You can hit me up. You can DM or message me through any of those platforms, and I'm usually pretty quick about answering. If you guys have any accessibility questions or thoughts on an episode I do, just like I said, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. So, and I'll be happy to answer any accessibility questions to the best of my knowledge. And I love networking and meeting new people any way I can. So, yeah, we're going to end that here, guys. And like I said, I really do appreciate you guys that have been tuning in and following my social medias. It really means a whole lot, how God can work through me here on social media to impact someone else. So I'd like to thank Earl once again for all that he does for me across my social media. Naomi, if you see this later, thank you as well. And I will be making you the eclair for when you come down and have your shopping adventure with me. So, and Earl, you're going to have to come check out those accessible recreational cabins when we get done constructing those. I think that'll be a good opportunity for us to, have some in-person conversation, and maybe we can get a gym workout in together. I appreciate it, girl, and everybody else watching. Y'all have a good night, and don't forget to tune into the Paralympic Games that start tonight, and I will see you guys later. Thank you, Earl, so much.